So, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is here. Not only is it a great game filled with memorable characters and a cool story, it's also a beautiful world filled with a lot of difficulties and challenges. You want to get started, but maybe you want a primer? Maybe you're not familiar with this game? Here are some things that the game either doesn't tell you or doesn't do a very good job of telling you. Now, please note, some of these tips and things are pretty obvious if you're a hardcore veteran of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, but if you saw the reviews, you bought into the hype for this new one, and you're jumping in blind, these pointers might help you out a little bit.
At number 10, saving is not super tolerable. Here's how to make it a little bit more tolerable, especially on consoles. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's a lot of things. It's got challenging combat, difficult survival mechanics, but by far the most punishing thing about the game is the save system. It's very restrictive, and I don't know, maybe depending on who you are, that might be a plus. Some people like boxers, some people like briefs. But the rules are as such: you can save by sleeping at beds that you own, which are ones that either somebody gives you when you rent a room at an inn, or you can just save anywhere with 𝐬𝐲𝐽, a prohibitively expensive alcohol that the game is normally very stingy with, and then there's key moments and quests you can save as well. Those are the primary ways to save them. And that can lead to some pretty frustrating situations where you can lose a whole lot of progress, especially early on, when the wrong move can lead to an early grave. There is a workaround, though. So on top of all of those options, you have a save and quit option, and it does immediately kick you out of the game when you select it, but it makes it so you can save anytime, anywhere, without having to waste any precious 𝐬𝐲𝐽. Unlike the first game, which I remember being more inconsistent, Kingdom Come 2 always saves the game exactly where you are, and it doesn't delete the save after the game loads. It works like any other save, which is nice. It just takes a slightly longer time to do because you have to reload the game every time you do it, but it's still quick, especially if you're playing on consoles. The game will reload in 10 seconds flat. It's almost no inconvenience at all, especially if for your entire life you have dealt with 30 to 40 second loading screens. Now, I'm going to say it's primarily a tool for console players because if you're on PC, getting around the save restrictions is pretty trivial. There's already made mods that make the game so you can just save anywhere, and they're super easy to use. If you're on console, just use save and quit, though. Sounds like a pain, but with an SSD, it takes no time at all, and there's zero downsides to just exploiting the feature. It makes the game a lot less stressful, in all honesty, so do that. And number 9 is how to find your horse. Getting a ride is essential in Kingdom Come 2. It makes fast travel a lot faster, saves you energy, nourishment, and most importantly, time. Having a horse dramatically expands your inventory as well. There's just no downsides. Having a freaking horse, it's just better. What, you don't even have a horse? Oh, man. What are you doing, loser? It's not even hard to get, but you spend dozens of hours in the game without your trusty steed if you don't know where to look. You can buy a horse from various stables across the land, but that's unnecessary because there's a pretty easy way to get a horse for free right at the start. If you look at the stables directly to the start of the starting town, you'll spot your horse named Pebbles. Once you spot him, you can talk to the stable boy and convince them to give your horse back for free. You do eventually get a quest that brings you over here, but depending on how you're progressing, the main quest, it's possible to overlook the stables, which are pretty far outside of town. They're attached to the nobleman's estate. Nothing stopping you from coming here real quick right at the start, pick up your horse, though. And you should, because having a horse is essential. What are you even doing if you don't have a horse? And number 8, focus on getting good early above all other things. I don't necessarily mean at the game itself. Obviously, that would be good. It would be good to get good early in terms of person holding the game controller, but I'm actually talking about the skills. At the start, you suck at everything. So every time somebody offers a spark, do it. Also look for any skill trainers you can find. There's a lot of guys willing to give you combat pointers like Master Tomcat in the Nomad Camp.
My name is Henry. And I've heard in the village that you're a renowned strongman, juggler, and moreover, skilled with a weapon. Is that true?
Depends. Why do you ask?
I'm looking for someone to help me.
What's it about?
Well, it's complicated. But the short version is, a few days ago I barely avoided the gravedigger's shovel. I thought I was done for. That's how badly beaten I was.
He's tied to an early game quest, and then there's Captain Gnarly in the combat pen near the stables. For range combat, look for archery ranges to engage in archery contests. They give you free arrows, so there's really no downside to engaging in them. And, they're the only way to get good at archery early on, so do them, because with everything else, you absolutely suck. You can't shoot straight at all until you improve your skills a little. There's one easy-to-find archery range directly north of the starting village in a quarry directly south of the castle. You need a bow to actually enter the contest, but if you follow the main quest, you get a free one from looting enemies. So, yeah. There's also skill books to buy. The scholar in the starting town sells them. They're not cheap. Improving your skills is super important, though, so if you can, get them. If you can't, get the money to get them. Really makes everything about the game easier. And number 7, don't just wander around. Do the main story missions first. It's important to bump up those skills, but without a foundation, you're not going to get anywhere very fast. Kingdom Come 2 literally starts you off with nothing, but throws you into a big old wide open world. Gives you lots of quests and activities to engage with at your own leisure. Don't let the openness fool you. It's not Skyrim. You can't just go in whatever direction you want right from the start, because if you try, you're going to have a bad time. With no bed to sleep in to restore your health, food to keep your nourishment up, and cash for, buying things. First few hours of the game's just going to be a miserable slog. So make things easier on yourself. Just stick to the main plot for a little bit. Instead of going off to do side quests, beeline towards the miller and the blacksmith. You got work that you can take, and you'll get a lot of useful stuff from just following the main quest track.
Surround him!
These guys will teach you useful skills. They'll give you a free bed to sleep in, and quests they send you on are super easy and safe. Tend to get you some actual decent loot to sell as well. Going on the main quest is going to put a solid foundation for the rest of the game. You don't have to focus on it exclusively, but at least unlock that free bed and learn blacksmithing. It's going to make the opening hours so much easier and better for that matter. And number 6 is crafting to make easy money. Do not neglect potion making. You see, you're riding into battle, and you will need your strongest potions. You're also going to want to do blacksmithing because, both of those things are slow and time-consuming. They're some of the best ways to make money easily, too. Blacksmithing especially is a handy source of income. Just buy up some cheap resources at the local market, bang out some cheap swords, haggle the price. You'll have a decent amount of cash, and, becoming a potion seller isn't the worst thing you can do either. Blacksmithing probably better, but if you make potions that would kill a dragon, let alone a man, you could probably make some cash. I don't know. I'm literally just making excuses to reference potion seller. You are gonna want potions though. Do that for you into blacksmithing for money. Like, it cannot be underestimated how little you get for almost everything in this game. Most stuff sells for only a fraction of its original value, but crafting items, it can actually get you some real money. When you're just starting out in the game and can't reliably win a one-on-one fight against even the chumpiest of chumps, having some way to make some money and improve yourself is necessary, and crafting's a way to do it. Might seem tedious, but just stick with it because the money it makes it's good. And number 5, get good at lockpicking. Just practice this as much as you possibly can. When the pressure's on, you need to lockpick something to actually progress in a mission. You'll be glad you did that. Lockpicking, a little more responsive and cleaned up this time around, but it's still very annoying. Just look at any comment section of a lockpicking tips video for Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. It's hilarious. The game doesn't explain very well, but it is essentially finding a sweet spot, the glowing ball, and then gently turning while moving this at the same time. It's finicky. Fun fact, it's also a bit easier on a mouse because of the precision needed. You can do it with analog sticks, but if you happen to be blessed with the choice of both, do it on the mouse. It's probably a little easier. Also, there's no option to adjust lockpicking difficulty that we could see. It's like everything else in the game. Try to train and get better by doing.
Oh, bloody hell.
As you level up, it's going to get easier. Make sure you can at least somewhat get basic locks open before you head to the big wedding mission, though. And number 4, remember to wash up. This one's super important, especially if you want to convince anyone of anything. Your appearance in Kingdom Come 2, it's everything. If you look like a dirty peasant, people will treat you like one. If you're filthy or covered in blood, you'll have some pretty severe penalties for your persuasion skill. You might not think that matters, but the game hits you with persuasion checks like all the damn time. It's non-stop.
We're Christians. We can talk things over, can't we?
What are you playing at? My name is none of your business.
Don't jump to conclusions. No one sent me.
Well, that's great.
And if you don't want to fail every single one, you're going to need to wash up from time to time. There's troughs around town. It can be used to clean yourself off to like a point at least.
Greetings to you.
But if you really want to be presentable, you need to find a laundry stop to get really clean. They're hard to spot at first, but basically if there's a small pond, there's probably a little pier somewhere nearby that acts as a laundry. One easy one to find is in the nomad camp, down by the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 sitting down around by the fire. Don't worry, they're not hostile. Just walk past them, there's your laundry where you can deep clean all your stuff. Soap is required to get the most out of this, but it's a fairly common item that most stores have, including the shop in the nomad camp. Going to the laundry isn't necessary most of the time, but just remember to stop the trough anytime you do anything arduous like blacksmith work or engage in combat, and you're going to be fine. Just one of the things you have to remember to do once in a while. It's not exactly essential, but when you have to talk to somebody, it makes a very big difference. And you know what? I'm just going to say this. That goes for real life too. Kingdom Come Deliverance, delivering a very important life lesson here. Don't smell like crap everywhere you go. And number 3, learn the master strikes as soon as you can. The skill is the I win button in Kingdom Come 2. You need to learn a master strike as soon as humanly possible. It makes combat so much easier knowing just this one move. You learn it from Master Tomcat in the Nomad Camp. It'll cost you, and you have to be able to beat him in a one-on-one fight to be able to actually do it. So it's not something you can get right away, but it's still something you should be gunning for as early as possible, because it can't be understated just how useful this technique is.
Sorry, lad, but it's too soon for me to teach you the Master Strike.
It's essentially an unavoidable strike in a game where enemies love to parry every single one of your strikes. There are more than one Master Strikes in the game. I think grammatically that's correct. But the one Tomcat sells is the easiest to get, so go for that one first. It also only works with swords, so at the start of the game, don't waste your time with anything else. Just focus on improving the sword skills. Other weapons can wait because the Master Strike it's just that good. And number 2, get your loyal pooch. One quest that unlocks immediately is find your lost dog, Mutt. What a creative name, right? This is a quest you don't want to ignore because having a dog is very helpful.
Henry! Hey! Call off that mutt of yours!
Mutt! What's all the fuss about, Mutt? Are you that hungry?
He can sniff out clues for certain quests. He'll act as a distraction during combat. He's just helpful to have around, and he has his own mechanics and everything, so he's worth finding. Actual quest, however, it's going to take a little more work than just finding your horse. It's a real wild goose chase that's more of a quest chain that sends you all over the land, getting involved with various slovenly characters who seem specifically designed to waste your time. You know the types.
Watch out! I'm coming down! Jesus! Mary Joseph! And an arse! My foot! Ah!
You have to deal with wolves too. They are a little more active. Oh, and there's a lot of them. And also groups of bandits. So it's a quest I don't recommend doing right at the start. You want some skills under your belt before you get it too deep into it. But once you feel confident in being able to fight multiple enemies at once, wrap this quest up, because having Mutt on your side, it's always handy. And finally, at number 1, do the Lions quest, pre-order quest if you have it. It doesn't apply to everyone, but if you pre-ordered the game, then you unlock this treasure hunt quest. It sounds arduous, but in reality, if you do it right at the start of the game, it's going to be good. Doesn't require a lot of skill to actually complete. It's just a lot of running around. So having a horse is handy, but it's also not really even required. Finishing it unlocks a useful piece of armor. It's one that's effective for a big chunk of the early game. This thing it's going to carry you for dozens of hours before you start finding anything better. So why aren't you doing it if you pre-ordered the game? Relatively easy to get, available right from the start. Don't miss out on it.
Is this really it? A piece of Brunswick's armor. And what's this? A piece of parchment.
On the other hand, if you didn't pre-order the game, good on you. Keep going your own way. We're solidarity on the I pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so